South Park is notorious for its unflinching topical humor that lampoons everything and everyone under the sun. Season 26 was absolutely no different, featuring many of the characters adapting to modern changes in the world, whether that be through the use of toilets or disgruntled Canadian royalty. This recent season brought a lot of great laughs, character moments, and social commentary. But which of the many social topics the show nailed ended up being the most hilariously done? I'm Kyle with WickedBinge, and this is South Park Season 26, Culture Wars. Funny to hilariously brilliant. Let's start with South Park's recent commentary on TikTok videos. It's well known that Matt Stone and Trey Parker both have children, and a lot of the humor put in the show nowadays derives from the disconnect they feel with the current generation. This year's season premiere featured Kyle and Token making extremely bizarre and annoying TikTok videos that parody current trends on the platform. Stan, Cartman, and Kenny are extremely baffled by these videos' popularity, undoubtedly being the mouthpiece for Stone and Parker's thoughts on TikTok as a whole. Since both the show's creators have young kids, they are undoubtedly exposed to TikTok videos on a regular basis, and as usual, they use the format of their own show to poke fun at whatever they see. This satire on TikTok isn't exactly deep or poignant, but it's funny and accurate. South Park has never held back from taking jabs at other forms of media, and this season aired their disdain with the current entertainment industry. This was first touched upon when Cupid Ye convinced everyone of the ridiculous idea that Kyle controls Hollywood because he's Jewish, which causes everyone to either pitch their ideas to him or complain to him about the state of the industry. The end credits of this episode even reference this by claiming everything was written and directed by Matt Stone, unlike most episodes which credit Trey Parker. And the show further beats down on the film industry in the episode Deep Learning. In this episode, Mr. Garrison comments how replacing the writers in Hollywood with AI programs wouldn't make the film industry feel any more or less robotic than it already is. It's pretty clear that South Park's creative team is airing their grievances with the lack of creativity and new ideas which mirror the sentiments of many people nowadays. As hinted at before, one of the subjects South Park covered this year was the AI technology perpetuated by ChatGPT. In the episode Deep Learning, Stan, Cartman, Butters, and Clyde begin to see the benefits of ChatGPT and use it for various reasons. This includes responding to their girlfriend's texts as well as writing incredibly detailed and informative essays for school. Mr. Garrison also gets in on the trend by using the program to grade schoolwork. Everyone has a different point where they draw the line, with Cartman not wanting to get girls involved, and Garrison claiming anyone who uses it for texting is a scumbag. Stan uses the program to write an ending for the episode when he can't think of a creative solution, obviously commenting on how this type of technology could bleed into Hollywood. The credits for the episode even claim it was written by Trey Parker and ChatGPT. So South Park is definitely using their credits for gags a lot this season. Moving on to British royalty, specifically Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Canada. In this episode, the prince and his wife talk about their continued desire to be out of the spotlight despite the fact that they keep putting themselves in the public eye by doing interviews and book tours. The South Park kids' reaction to this are a strong "who cares" until the prince and his wife move in across the street from Kyle and shove their presents into his face.
We just kind of don't care about some dumb prince and his stupid wife.
This is undoubtedly how the South Park creators feel as Americans running a topical TV show who constantly get news of the British royal family shoved in their face, whether they like it or not. Near the end of the episode, the Prince of Canada learns his lesson, but the Princess of Canada doesn't, as she's revealed to be a completely hollow shell on the inside. As usual, the show holds no punches when tackling celebrity culture. One of the more unexpected targets of South Park this time around was none other than toilet paper companies. The episode Japanese Toilet sees Randy embark on a campaign to raise awareness about his sweet new toilets that has a bidet.
Try it, Sharon.
Once he gives a speech on how cool Japanese toilets are and how wasteful toilet paper is, he's shot and almost killed by an unknown assassin. Jimmy tells Stan that the toilet paper companies have too much to lose if Americans switch to Japanese toilets, and that he and his family are in danger. The episode points out how harmful toilet paper production is to the environment and how there are better options, despite American society being stuck in their ways. There's also an indication that American medical companies are also benefiting from this dynamic, as Randy's proctologist attempts to destroy the Japanese toilet when he finds out Randy doesn't have a problem with hemorrhoids anymore. South Park has tackled many celebrity controversies in the past, and season 26's premiere went back to the well that is Kanye West, or as he's currently known, Ye. Mr. West has appeared on South Park twice before in the episodes Fish Sticks and The Hobbit. Despite this, the gay fish did not appear himself in this new episode, instead being parodied through an allegorical reference with Cupid Ye, formerly known as Cupid Me. Cupid Ye is an anti-Semitic rapper angel who shoots people with arrows that make the recipient anti-Semitic. This change in the character's wardrobe, name, and attitude are obviously in reference to Kanye, or Ye's recent remarks about being a self-proclaimed Nazi. In the episode, Cartman eventually feeds Cupid Ye his medication to get him to calm down, which does cause the angel to turn back into Cupid Me. This is a subtle suggestion that maybe Ye should get some help and medical attention, which is actually kind of thoughtful in a snarky way, and we expect no less from South Park. One of the more significant issues South Park commented on this year was that of the newer generation's work ethic. One episode this season sees Cartman getting a job with Butters at an ice cream shop only to take advantage of him at every turn. When Butters calls him out on it, Cartman blames his mental health on everything and eventually opts to work from home, and blames all the problems on the business owner. Later in the episode, Cartman starts his own business with Kenny, and they hire employees to work for them. Most of these employees make the same demands of working from home and taking frequent mental health days off, causing Cartman to blame the pandemic for making everyone lazy.
Everyone, it's looking good, but we have a ways to go.
But it's important to note that South Park doesn't make this issue age-specific. Adults like Daryl are shown to have the same lazy attitude, and young Butters is portrayed as extremely hardworking. In fact, the episode also briefly comments on how child labor laws are being changed so that owners can find people who actually want to perform these tasks. Considering Matt Stone and Trey Parker both run an animation studio, and now a restaurant, there's no doubt they face many challenges in the process of hiring new employees all the time. Speaking of which, the same episode also tackles many issues with running a business. This point is definitely related to our last one, but we feel there are enough differences in these two issues to warrant another entry. Somewhat famously, Stone and Parker purchased the legendary Casa Bonita restaurant, which was featured as a main plot point in one of South Park's most iconic episodes. While the restaurant itself didn't appear in the new season, the tribulations of starting up a business was tackled allegorically in the 5th episode of the season. Cartman has been living in a hot dog for a while, but he, along with Kenny, decide to turn it back into a business, leading them to have issues with finding employees and bringing in a crowd. Cartman and Kenny are obviously out of their element, which may be referencing how the creators feel going from working in animation to customer service. This is interesting considering Parker and Stone usually use Stan and Kyle to represent their own points of view. Cartman eventually does get everything taken away from him while Butters is appointed as the new owner, showing thankfully hard work does eventually pay off in the long run. One topic South Park was almost obligated to tackle was Donald Trump campaigning for a 2024 re-election. One of the more polarizing decisions in the recent years of South Park was to make Mr. Garrison a stand-in for Donald Trump. Stone and Parker even kind of regret this choice, as they believed this was only going to be a single season arc initially. Once Donald Trump won the election, they were stuck with Garrison in his position, although he reverted to his role as a teacher once Trump lost the re-election. Since Donald Trump is making another go at office in 2024, Garrison slips back into his rallying days in this season's finale. He eventually returns to South Park and claims he wants to stay there.
Oh, just stop. The country is fine.
While his boyfriend Rick claims they'll see what happens. Stone and Parker obviously are keeping their bases covered this time after their infamous mistake in predicting the outcome of the 2016 election. The meta humor here is great, and we find it pretty funny that the South Park creators' concerns with the upcoming election seems to mostly be based on what direction they'll have to take Mr. Garrison as a character. One subject South Park covered in two different ways was spring break culture. The season 26 finale of South Park was all about celebrating spring break from the perspectives of two people, those being Mr. Garrison and Randy. Mr. Garrison uses spring break as an excuse to take his boyfriend Rick on a romantic getaway. In actuality, this is an excuse to go to South Carolina and start rallying again, knowing their vacation spot is around existing MAGA stores.
You want to rally a little bit?
Randy uses the same holiday to throw a wild party, mostly to engage Stan, who simply wants to play a game of Warhammer with Token. In both cases, Spring Break shows these characters embrace their darker side, with Randy being careless and destructive, and Garrison being two-faced and deceitful. In both cases, the men's significant other brings them back to reality, with Rick welcoming Garrison home and Sharon cleaning up after Randy's mess. Even so, we all know that these characters have these bad tendencies they slip back into every once in a while. Kind of like young people repeatedly going back to Spring Break. So who knows when Randy and Garrison's wild sides will emerge again. Probably not too long from now. While Randy's actions in the Spring Break episode were bad, he defends himself by stating he was trying to conquer the public's notion of, quote, toxic masculinity. South Park has dabbled into gender politics many times before, and this season is no exception. Stan continuously ignores Randy's partying throughout the episode, much to the latter's dismay. Randy believes this is due to current society making Stan feel ashamed of his inner urges, when the kid simply wants to play a board game with his friend. Not only does Randy continually fail to convince Stan of this point, he actually proves the opposite with his destructive behavior, relying on Sharon to solve his problems. This episode isn't really taking the hardline opposite or progressive opinion when it comes to gender or masculinity, as much as it's just taking a crack at the other extreme. But real quick, before we get to our last entry, if you're enjoying this video and you want to do us a huge favor, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. We ask because we'd really appreciate the help in getting to our next milestone, and we have a ton more content in the works that we can't wait to share with you. Speaking of which, we get to Andrew Tate. While he isn't a huge character in the episode, Randy enlists help from a man named Alonzo Fineschi while trying to help Stan experience Spring Break.
Spring Break! Spring Break!
This man has a very similar appearance to Andrew Tate, including his beard, sunglasses, and cigar, as well as many of his viewpoints. And if you're still not convinced, later in the episode when the cops arrive at Randy's house, they identify Alonzo as a Romanian sex trafficker who they need to bring into custody. This is an obvious homage to Andrew Tate's current legal issues, though it's important to note Andrew Tate was just released as of the writing of the script, and despite his original arrest, he was never officially charged with any crimes. But regardless, the portrayal was so dead on that Andrew Tate himself commented on the episode, stating that once he's proven innocent of his crimes, he will help create the greatest South Park episode of all time. He also said it was nice to meet his hero, Randy Marsh. We actually do think this is possible in the sense that Tate could do something so big and outlandish that it makes for great material for South Park in the future, much like Trump and Garrison. We'll have to see if Alonzo makes any subsequent appearances on South Park. But let us know in the comments section what you think the funniest cultural issue South Park tackled this year was, and tell us what we should cover next. Make sure to hit that notification bell and binge our other videos. But most importantly, stay wicked.